What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick. Let it be December already. Kackis here. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to support the channel and let me know what you think my next intro should be. That comment section, it's out of control. Alright, today, it almost is December because this is the last weekly reset before the 30th anniversary update hits Destiny 2 on December 7th. And it's bringing a ton of content. Not only does it contain a brand new dungeon, but it also has a new 6-player activity. Guys, entire seasons only have one 6-player activity, and it's gonna have legendary weapons for both of those activities, exotic weapons, and more. So the 30th anniversary update is basically like a new season within a season, and therefore we have the 30th anniversary prep guide focused on the things that you can do to give you a huge advantage when this update launches. Now keep in mind, this is not necessarily going to be focusing so much on prepping bounties and stuff like that, but rather going over the weapons and abilities and the changes coming to Destiny 2 that this update is bringing, the stuff in your vault that you should take out and level up and maybe go after before this update hits, so you can hit the ground running playing the new content instead of going back and getting the new meta weapons. And so guys, let's get started here with the first thing, and that is definitely going to be get some darn resources. Seriously, take some time to go to the spider on the Tangled Shore, as well as make sure you have specifically upgrade modules, because again, we're getting an injection of a lot of new weapons, both legendary and exotic, and you're gonna want to be able to masterwork and upgrade those weapons to max level. Now, the dungeon is going to be technically a piece of endgame content. I'm not sure what the light level is going to be on the dungeon. It's likely not going to be anything absurd, but definitely it shouldn't be available, or it likely won't be available to anyone who is in the lower echelon of light level. So again, make sure to do a little bit of leveling, a little bit of grinding to prepare for that. Alright, now the next tip I have for you guys, and this is a big one, this is something I've already started to do: get new armor. Because if you're like me, a lot of your high stat roll armor has huge intellect spikes, because getting to 100 intellect was really good and beneficial for both PvE and PvP. But I think that's going to change. With the 30th anniversary update, Bungie is completely overhauling the abilities regeneration environment, and as a result of that, supers are now going to get nowhere near the same amount of passive regeneration. So that's why you would see people who can't win gunfights sitting in the back of the map, right, waiting for their super to recharge before. It's because you would naturally get your super pretty darn fast if you had 100 intellect. But now the main way to get your super is going to be taking damage and dealing damage, and specifically dealing damage with a primary weapon. Bungie said that is the most efficient way to get super energy. The only thing the intellect stat is going to affect after the 30th anniversary hits is going to be a small amount, a very limited amount of passive regeneration. So again, is 100 intellect the play? I don't think it will be. Probably like 50, 60, 70 intellect, and then those extra 30 points are spent elsewhere. Recovery, discipline, your class ability, and so on. So again, start looking for armor that doesn't have that maxed out intellect spike. Alright, now moving on from there, let's talk about weaponry you should try to have, because it's getting better with this update. So firstly, in terms of exotics, so I've actually done a video on the 5 exotic weapons I think are going to get the biggest benefits within this update. Definitely check it out if you haven't, but here is the quick and dirty version of that. The Dead Man's Tail is getting a buff for controller users specifically. The Malfeasance is getting a damage increase to its explosion damage. The Darcy Heavy Sniper Rifle is getting a big damage increase. The Whisper of the Worm Heavy Sniper Rifle is getting a damage increase and a perk rework to make it even better. The Leviathan's Breath is getting an increase. It's getting Archer's Tempo now with the Catalyst. The Cryosthesia 77K is getting a complete rework, essentially a buff. It's going to be easier to use. The Suros Regime in the dual mode receiver is getting a big range increase. The Sleeper Simulant is actually getting a big buff magazine size increase and PvE damage increase. And the Arbalest is getting anti-barrier rounds intrinsically. And then lastly, the Fighting Lion is getting a buff in terms of reload speed mostly. So there are the different exotic weapons getting outright better when this update hits. So again, if you haven't got them, try to acquire them. If they've been sitting in your vault, potentially a good idea to infuse them up, complete their catalysts, etc. But let's move on to the legendary weapons that are also getting better with this update. Again, I've done a video on the top 10 legendary weapons I expect to see rise in value when this update hits. Check it out if you haven't, but the quick and dirty version for that is as follows. So, expect rapid fire frame shotguns to be better specifically in PvE because pellet shotguns are getting a 10% PvE damage buff, and then slug shotguns are getting a 10% PvE precision damage nerf. Then linear fusion rifles are actually getting a 10% PvE damage buff, even though they're absolutely cracked right now with the help of particle deconstruction. So if you don't have especially a good threaded needle, definitely worth going and getting that because it's likely going to be good in whatever the boss phase of the new dungeon is. Like, it's a new dungeon, probably going to be a new boss. Linear fusions are already cracked out of their mind. They're going to get even better. Moving on from there, caster frame swords are actually going from 8 ammo to do your heavy attack down to 5, so they're going to get a lot more ammo efficient. Then bows are getting a 10% damage buff against rank and file enemies, so like red bar enemies. And then lastly, sidearms and fusion rifles, they're getting their projectile speed increased from 999 to 9999. So basically they're going to turn into pure hit scan weapons. So expect sidearms and fusion rifles to become more consistent, especially in PvP. So those are the archetypes getting better, but what about the roles you're looking for? Because certain perks are getting better as well. Specifically, Adrenaline Junkie is getting a big buff, basically turning it into Swashbuckler, where if you throw a grenade and get a grenade kill, it goes up to ×5 damage bonus, but now you can increase that bonus with just getting gun kills. Also, Pulse Monitor is getting a big buff as well. It's going to activate from 30% of your shield gone, which is kind of insane. Like, it's going to be activating way more often. Now, those two perks are specifically getting buffs, but there's actually some more weapon perks that are also getting better just due to the changes to the abilities regeneration environment. So the first one is definitely Thresh. This is going to get you more super energy for getting kills with the weapon it's on. And like we talked about earlier, the most efficient way to gain super energy, according to Bungie after this update, is going to be dealing damage with a primary weapon. So a primary weapon with Thresh, therefore, is going to be one of the fastest ways to gain super going forward. So definitely be on the lookout for that perk. Another perk getting better is going to be Demolitionist. Now this is going to give you a chunk of your grenade energy back when you get a kill with that weapon. Well, one of the biggest changes is that some of the grenades are going to actually recharge quite a bit slower, but are going to be buffed in terms of their damage to compensate. The best example of this is the Flux Grenade can now one-hit kill. So right now, getting a chunk of your Flux Grenade back, not the biggest deal. But getting a big chunk of a one-hit kill Flux Grenade back, that is definitely something to keep note of. And the last perk I would really be on the lookout for is Wellspring. So when you get a kill with this perk, it gives you ability energy for whatever ability is uncharged. And after the 30th, abilities as a whole are going to be charging longer. You're going to have less ability spam. Bungie said this was a goal. Even something like the Hunter Dodge is getting a nerf. You're not going to be able to use that as fast. So just using a weapon with Wellspring is definitely going to let you utilize your abilities closer to what you can now versus after they're slowed down with this update. So again, Wellspring is something you should keep an eye on. Oh, and something else you may want to do in terms of weaponry is delete or replace any sidearm, scout rifle, hand cannon, and pulse rifle rolls that have the full auto perk. And that's because, as you can see, there's actually going to be a full auto weapon mod that is hitting the game on the 30th. So you're going to be able to, I guess, take a hand cannon, a scout rifle, a pulse rifle, whatever, and change the mod to full auto, and then it just has full auto. You can hold down the trigger and your hand cannon, your scout rifle, will fire as fast as possible. And that is actually a huge thing. Now, Bungie is doing this for accessibility reasons, but again, it means any of those weapons that have that full auto perk, basically you don't need it. In fact, in the Witch Queen, Bungie says you're going to be able to just enable a full auto within the menu, within the options menu, so you won't even need to take up a mod slot after the Witch Queen launches. So again, if you like full auto, yeah, it's kind of worthless now as an actual perk. It's just taking up the slot of something that can be better. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.